I will now call to order a regular council meeting on Monday, May the 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. Attendance, I note that all members of council are in attendance. And in addition, we have Mr. Chris Spear, our Chief Administrative Officer and Treasurer, and Mr. Paul Knopper, our Clerk and Senior Administrator. And I'm not sure if Mr. Gopin is online. Mr. Gopin from the Regional Service Commission is also with us tonight. So I will now look for a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Also
Councillor
move.
Brew, thank you. And seconded by Councillor Bishop. If there aren't any questions, all in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. I will now look to disclosure of conflict of interest in any matter before council this evening. Hearing none, we will move forward, and I will now go to, we have a very special presentation this evening, and I will turn it over to Mr. Knopper, who's been coordinating this effort on our behalf, and I will ask him to introduce the participants in our presentation.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Council. Tonight you are getting a presentation from Michael Dickson and his team. Michael is a finance major and an entrepreneur major with the Student International Business Council. They've been conducting a couple of projects within St. Andrews, and tonight they wish to present the one they did on the Huntsman. So, Council, back in February, you were emailed about a couple of projects and the students looking to help support St. Andrews and come up with projects. And this is one of the end results of the presentation, and they would like to present to you guys tonight. So I'll pass it off to Michael. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Michael Dickson, and this is Brennan Hammond, Lauren Rabel, and Finian Clark. And we're students at Benedictine College, which is located in Atchison, Kansas, United States. We are also members of the Student International Business Council. The goal of SIBC is to bring real world experience into the classroom environment. So we do real work for companies with a special intent on international studies. So over the course of a project we were working on for Newfoundland, building a marketing plan, we came upon Mr. Henderson, and he was gracious enough to give us a lot of information for that and offer us a project, and then connected us with Mr. Knopper, who was both very, very helpful this semester for our research. So the goal was to increase sort of a knowledge hub surrounding the Huntsman Institute. And throughout the course of the research, what we did was we found various trade shows, and I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. We found a list of companies that had similar interests or output to the town of Huntsman. And then we met with Mr. Chris Bridger and relayed to him some of these companies, and we've provided their contact information so that they're on those ends can go ahead and reach out to those companies in order to contact them in hopes of a partnership with them. So you can see here a list of about 27 different companies, ranging from ones that produce output similar to it, ones that produce equipment. They are research and development firms. Some of them are pharmaceuticals, so anything that has a like and similar interest to the town, to the Huntsman Institute. And it being a lengthy report, I'll go ahead and email it afterwards, the PDF, and that will be relayed to you following the meeting here. And I'd like to list a special thanks to all the councilmen for their project, and to Mr. Knopper and Mr. Henderson and the mayor for giving us the opportunity to have this experience and to work with wonderful people up here. So thank you all very much for that.
Thank you very much on behalf of council, and I'll let council comment just quickly as well. But this has been a pretty exciting thing for us. And again, I appreciate that Mr. Knopper has been able to make some time for you, and that Mr. Henderson, our deputy mayor, was the connection person initially. Thank you, Mr. Henderson. And I hope it was of great value to you. It's always great for us to have people from outside coming here and taking a look at what we do, and I'm quite certain that what you produced for us is going to be helpful for us, and more importantly for the staff and the board of directors at the Huntsman Institute. So that's terrific. Thank you so much. Council, anybody else want to chime in and thank them?
Yeah, Your Worship, I certainly will. Good to see you again, Mr. Dickson. Yeah, I just want to echo your comments. Thanks so much. I know that you reached out to a number of different communities in the project that we spoke of, but the fact that you offered to take on a project in the town of St. Andrews, it means a lot to us. And when you and I did the previous interview, I could tell that it was very professionally done. You were looking for a lot of different insights from a lot of different people in industry. And I look forward to receiving that full report with the rest of our council. And once again, just thank you. And I did throw it off to Mr. Knopper. So as always, Mr. Knopper, thanks for really going behind the scenes, making the work happen for the town of St. Andrews, at least for this project. So thanks so much.
And again, it was wonderful to be able to work with a town which has done such amazing things at St. Andrews, especially in the last year we've had, and be able to work with a group of people that has not been stagnant, definitely. And if you like what you see, we are always more than willing to continue on. We always are in need of more projects or topics. I know we're working right now on a marketing plan as well, specifically built, and that should be sent to you within the next few days as well, but it's not yet finalized. So be looking for that as well.
Thank you all so much, and all the best.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terrific.
Your Worship, we're at the approval of minutes if you're...
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure we were cleared away. We'll now move forward to the approval of minutes of the previous meetings. I note that between April the 6th and April the 28th, we had 6 more meetings, and I will now try to go through these to get the minutes approved. I'll first start with the minutes of the regular meeting of council on April the 6th, 2021. We'll look for a motion to approve those minutes, which you've all had access to.
Councillor Grew.
Councillor Grew, thank you. And a seconder?
Councillor Gumichel.
Councillor Gumichel, thank you. All in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. I'll secondly move to the minutes of the public hearing of objections on April 15th, 2021. Look for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Councillor Akaji, and the seconder.
Councillor Grew.
Councillor Grew, sorry, Councillor Grew. All in favor of those minutes being approved, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are also approved. Now we will move to the minutes of the special meeting of council on April 15th. Motion, please, to approve those minutes.
I'll move.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Henderson, and the seconder.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Gumichel. And all in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. We'll move to the minutes of the special meeting of council on April 19th, 2021. Motion to approve those minutes, please.
I'll also move.
Yeah, Councillor Bishop, thank you. And a seconder?
Second it.
Yeah, Councillor Group. And all in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are also approved. Now we will move to the minutes of the special meeting of April 26, 2021. A motion to approve those minutes.
Also move.
Yeah, Councillor Bishop, thank you. And a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, thank you. And all in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Finally, we'll move to the minutes of the Committee of Council meeting of April 26, 2021. A motion to approve those minutes.
You have Councillor Group.
Councillor Group, and a seconder.
I'll second it.
Yeah, Councillor Akaji, thank you. All in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are also approved. Thank you, Council. I'll now move to communications, and I have one, and this, I will read this. It is from Jenny Loudwell of the St. Andrews Community Tennis Association. It's an update of their activities, May 2021. It's quite brief, and this is St. Andrews Community Tennis Association, May 2020 update to Council. The opening of the tennis courts this year was earlier than anyone at SACTA can remember. We appreciate the town's efforts to have the courts ready for play on March 30th. The SACTA executive met on April 26 to discuss the season. Play is currently underway, observing COVID-19 protocols as provided by the town and Tennis New Brunswick. While we would like to be able to plan for tournaments, the youth camp, and adult lessons, it was agreed that the current COVID-19 situation means this is not possible. The protocols under the yellow stage of recovery allow for play, but the above activities all involve times when social distancing is not possible. We will update our plans as Public Health, the town, and Tennis New Brunswick announce changes to the current situation. Records from the SACTA court booking screen will be retained for 14 days to assist with contact tracing requirements. Regards, Jenny Loudwell, SACTA Secretary. Now I will move to staff reports, and I will turn it over to Mr. Chris Spear, our Chief Administrative Officer and Treasurer, to read his report.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you for those who are tuned in. I want to once again thank the Mayor and Council for this opportunity to summarize the ongoing services and initiatives of the town of St. Andrews. With the pandemic still with us, there will be ongoing challenges for a few more months. But I would like to thank the citizens and visitors for their ongoing diligence in following public health best practices that have kept infections very low in the Charlotte County region. Council, with the election only a week away, the business of this current council has begun to wind down. Council has been extremely busy in its 5-year mandate and has tackled many significant bylaws and initiatives for the town. In the month of April, Council rezoned 108 Sophia Street to accommodate the purchasers of the property, a veterinary clinic. Recognizing that some of the adjacent landowners had concerns over professional services entity in a residential neighborhood, they added a condition of sale that a fence would be erected between them and the clinic, to which the vets agreed. With the onset of spring comes the start of construction season. Before Council tonight are motions to award tenders for the following: repairs to the sewage lagoon, as well as ongoing paving work within the town. In addition to the infrastructure work already approved to be completed on King and Sophia Streets, we are geared for a busy May and June. As always, we strive for completion by the 3rd week of June. In April, Council and staff worked diligently to finalize the short-term rental bylaw, with many comments received by interested property owners. After a lengthy discussion, the 3rd reading has been tabled until after the next council comes in and has time to review and put their input on it. Staff will ensure it is on their suggested priority list and are made aware immediately. Under administration, a few weeks ago when Healthstone 4 was in lockdown, it was announced election results in the municipalities outside this area would be postponed until that section voted. We received communication from the department last week that since the Edmundston area is now in recovery phase orange, on May 25th, 2021, they will have their election and other elections will be tabulated and released that evening. An important issue that is before all New Brunswickers is local government reform. As mentioned last report, a green paper has now been released and looking for comments by the end of June. This is something that could potentially affect all our lives, and all of us should review the information and consider communicating our thoughts to the minister. As previously mentioned, the funding for the wharf refurbishment has been approved. We are currently going through Aboriginal consultation and a review of the scope of the environmental impact assessment with the Department of Environment of New Brunswick. Staff is meeting with the engineers in early May to outline the preliminary work for design and consultation to provide a timeline for this project. The town of St. Andrews is excited to participate in the Quest New Brunswick Smart Energy Community Accelerator Program with 9 other New Brunswick communities, including a First Nation. The program aims to assist us to realize the economic and greenhouse gas emissions reduction benefits of community energy planning and accelerate the process by assisting with the development, advancement, and implementation of a plan specific to St. Andrews. We paid $500 to join and have access to a coordinator who will work with council and staff to meet our overall goals of reducing our carbon footprint. I am also happy to report that the Environmental Trust Fund, as distributed by the province of New Brunswick, has awarded us 2 projects. Greenhouse gas mitigation plan and energy study for the town of St. Andrews in the amount of $35,000, and quantifying ecosystem services for Shamcook Lake, $20,000 to identify options for other water sources than Shamcook Lake. These will be worked on this year with typically final reports ready over the winter. A much more subdued paddle fest will be taking place this year. The main event tent will not be set up, but instead more intimate shows in smaller locations that are easier to manage under the COVID-19 recovery regulations. Thank you to the organizers for adding some normality back to our community. The Van Horn Trail between Water and Prince of Wales Streets has had a portion of the asphalt removed for construction of the new bird viewing platform. Sortie has done a good job in the initial construction and is waiting for the asphalt plant to open in May before completing the project, but the trail is now open. I also need to remind local property owners and contractors that if you need to set up on a town street or sidewalk, please ask permission first. We have procedures in place when you need access to the public space for an extended period that needs to be followed. The 2020 audit is near completion. While we're working hard to have it completed by today, it did not quite make it. Although it can be left to the next council, we may want to convene between the election and May 25th to finish this piece of business. Services. It has been a busy month for staff as we prepare for warmer weather activities and enter our construction season, both subcontracted and self-constructed. The operations manager assisted staff in the annual shutdown at the ice plant and the rapid removal of the ice surface to accommodate the new lacrosse program. We also had a full inspection from an ice plant company who provided information on priority repairs and eventual replacement of some of the components. He also saw through the near completion of the street, he also saw to the near completion of the street end park at Elizabeth and the final inspection of the Wellness Center to put that project finally to bed. The clerk had an extremely busy month, submitting multiple grant applications, preparing packages and minutes for 6 meetings, as well as a transition to electronic meeting software. Once implemented, staff anticipate most members of council will find it a valuable tool. And not written in the report, but I'll add, actually, many of our own staff went through the training as well to be able to submit the reports through this template, which will make the packages so much easier. Public Works continues to prepare the town for finer weather activities, including preparing parks and other green spaces for use, initiating the leaf pickup program, painting, repairing, and putting out picnic tables and benches, and constructing new pair gauge to be used for the summer of 2021. Planners from the Service Commission, the clerk and I continue to meet at least bi-weekly to go over ongoing and potential development files. They have introduced us to the concept of a development scheme bylaw, which could be helped to address our housing crisis. Up to the end of April, there has been 1.6 million worth of building permits issued. Also, from the Service Commission, the Recreation Master Plan was finally passed by the board after a couple of years of discussion. This is important to municipalities because local service districts have agreed to pay 2 cents of their property tax assessment towards shared recreational facilities in the region. This funding will be budgeted for 2022. As many of you are aware, there was a boil water issue issued by the province concerning our water system in the middle of April. During routine maintenance at the water plant, the system was shut down as they performed the cleaning of the screens, which were flushed many times. However, when it was brought back online, a small clump of dirt must have let go from a hidden component that caused the turbidity to spike for 15 minutes. This event needed to be reported to public health, who put in place the boil order. To have the order lifted, we need to provide 2 tests spread 24 hours apart and sent for testing, and the testing takes 24 hours. These procedures are put in place to protect the integrity of all municipal water systems, but we do apologize for the inconvenience it cost our residents and businesses. The utility department also wants to educate residents that disposable wipes and rags should not be put in the sanitary system, but thrown in the trash. One of our new pumps at the Lagoon became jammed with these, causing it to kick out several times and forcing staff to remove it to clean it out and then put it back in service on a weekend. The Ross Memorial Library is now offering limited in-person programs, including storytelling times for toddlers. They are also appreciative of the new bilingual sign budgeted by council and installed by Public Works this month. Like other property owners, we needed to go to the PRAC to get a variance for the sign due to its size and location. Just a reminder that we are all subject to zoning and building bylaws. The Youth Center continues to offer programming as members transition from indoor activities to the skate park and basketball courts. I am also interested that they routinely play Dungeons and Dragons, a fantasy role-playing game that was popular when I was a teenager. This concludes my final report for this council. On behalf of myself and the staff, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to work with you over the past 5 years. Most citizens do not realize the commitment and pressure required to be on council and should be more appreciative of the effort put in. For those who are standing for re-election, good luck on May the 10th, and whatever the result, you should be proud of the accomplishments over the last 5 years. One of your keystone projects, the completion of the new Wellness Center, will have its grand opening on the afternoon of May the 14th. More details will follow shortly. Respectfully submitted, Chris Spear, CEO, Treasurer, Town of St. Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Council, any comments for Mr. Spear in relation to his report?
Mr. Spear is still the dungeon master.
There you go. I agree. Thank you, Mr. Spear, for all the work that you do for us, and particularly I was particularly touched by last Friday's impromptu indoor barbecue. So good work, and it was great to have an opportunity to hang around with some of the staff who very seldom get that opportunity at lunchtime. Thank you. I will now look for a motion to approve all of the reports, which everyone has had the opportunity to read. There are a considerable number of them, but could I have a motion for that purpose, please?
Also move.
Thank you, Councillor Bishop, and a seconder.
I'll second Councillor Gumichel.
Councillor Gumichel, thank you. All in favor of approving the staff reports, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those reports are approved. Thank you, Council. And we'll now move forward to introduction, consideration, and passing of bylaws and motions. And I will turn it over to Councillor Bishop to deal with finance and administration.
Thank you, Mayor. FA 210401, dated April 21st, 21. The subject is Procurement Policy P18-02 update. The background: with the updated organizational chart put in place earlier this year, amendments to the procurement policy are necessary to reflect the new positions and responsibilities. Attached to this motion is the updated document with changes highlighted in yellow. The motion: I move that council accepts policy P18-02, procurement policy, updated May 3rd, 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Bishop. Can I have a seconder for that motion, please?
I'll second Councillor Gumashall.
Yeah, Councillor Gumashall, thank you. Questions from council? We have all had this opportunity to look at this at last week's committee meeting. So, but if there are any questions, if not, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved. Councillor Bishop.
The next item, FA 210402, dated April 21st, 21. The subject: quotation number 212823Q, Town of St. Andrews Lagoon Liner Repair Award. The background: quotation number 212823Q, Town of St. Andrews Lagoon Liner Repair quotation closed on April 15th, 2021. The following 5 companies submitted quotes: Terra X Incorporated, MIDI Construction Limited, Keel Construction Limited, Fairville Construction Limited, and Coastal Enterprises Limited. Attached to this motion is a summary report from CBCL Limited. On their review documents provided are a breakdown of the submitted quotations for each company and a recommendation to award the quotation contract. The motion is that council shall award quotation number 212823Q to Terra X Incorporated for the amount of $23,448.50, including HST, to complete the Town of St. Andrews Lagoon Liner repair project.
Thank you, Councillor Bishop. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please?
Councillor Akaji.
Councillor Akaji, thank you. Comments or questions, council? All right, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved.
Okay, next item is FA 210403, dated April 21st, 21. The subject is TSA 2021-06, Gravelly 460 Zero-Turn Mower Award. Background: TSA 2021-06, Gravelly 460 Zero-Turn Mower closed on April 16th, 21 at 2 p.m. When the bids were opened, there were 3 bidders: Nathan McMillan, Bocabec, Lloyd Richardson, St. Stephen, and Alan Nesbitt, St. Andrews. Attached to this motion is a summary report from staff on the bid tender results. Note that council deemed this mower surplus for sale to the public. Motion: that council awards tender TSA 2021-06 to Alan Nesbitt of St. Andrews for the amount of $1,225, including HST, for the 460 Zero-Turn Mower.
Could I have a seconder for that motion, please?
Councillor Grew.
Councillor Grew, thank you.
Your worship, do you mind if I step in for 2 seconds?
Certainly, go ahead.
Your worship, I just want to note, I did miss within the motion in the report that this is the highest bidder, but if you look at your actual agenda package, it does note the highest bidder was Mr. Nesbitt. So
yes, thank you, Mr. Knopper, for adding that. Okay, any questions, council? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor
Worship,
of the motion?
just a clarification. This is not.
Yeah,
really,
sorry, Councillor Group. Go ahead.
It's not really a tender. It's more of a sale of a piece of surplus equipment.
Right. Okay. Thanks for the clarification. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved.
Okay, next item. Just a second here. I'm getting ahead of myself. 1 second. Bear with me for a moment. Oh, okay.
Page 101,
yeah. Okay, I went too far over in my package. Thank you. FA 210404, April 21st, 21. TSA 2021-01 Asphalt Tender Award. The background, TSA 2021-01 Asphalt tender closed on April 22nd, 21 at 2 p.m. When the bids were opened, there were 3 bidders: NRB Construction Company Limited, Classic Construction 2012 Limited, and Galbraith Construction Limited. Attached to this motion is a summary from CBCL. Provided in their summary report is a breakdown of tenders and their recommendation to award the tender contract. And the motion is that Council award tender TSA 2021-01 to NRB Construction Company Limited for the amount of $212,813.25, including HST, to complete the asphalting projects in the town of St. Andrews.
Thank you, Councillor Bishop. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Grew, thank you. Any questions or comments, Council? No, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved.
There's a second part to that motion.
Excuse me, Councillor Bishop.
Yes.
Before you jump in, I guess there's a staff report that I guess didn't get copied. I had prepared it.
Okay.
But the end recommendation from staff was actually to table that motion, that we were going to look at other opportunities.
So this second part of the motion is we're not doing it tonight?
I'd say not, because the staff report hasn't been included for one thing, so I'm assuming.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So.
Okay, but we did pass the tender to NRB Construction, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
And if I may, Your Worship.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Spear.
Just as a quick follow-up, during the Committee of Council meeting last week, I said staff was interested in paving the back half of the fire hall. But when we looked at it, it was about double the cost of what we'd originally had thought. So we decided better to sit on it and see what the heck was going on, because it seemed like it's pretty near over $50,000 just to do the back half of the parking lot at the fire hall. And it seemed like a significant price tag for the little bit of space that's there. It has to be done, but we're going to relook at it and maybe bring it forward in the summer for reconsideration in the fall once we have a closer look at what the heck happened.
So we can count on this being brought forward to the incoming council sometime in the summer then.
Yeah, well, there'll be savings there, so we can bring it forward once again for their review, and if they want to work on it or postpone everything till budget time, that'll work either way for staff.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Spear.
May I just say something?
Certainly.
There was a single sheet here from CAO and Treasurer regarding paving contract 2021. Is that the information that you're referring to, Mr. Spear?
Yeah, I guess I forgot to stick it in my own binder. I copied it to everybody else but myself. So
yeah,
looking through it tonight, I said, "Whoopsie, I forgot to give it out."
We did actually have that information. But we're just going to put that off for the next council?
Well, that be my recommendation, council. You still certainly know that there's about $60,000 in savings. So if you'd like staff to review something else, it's certainly at your discretion. But at this point, staff is recommending that we just sit on it for now.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Greer, your worship.
Councillor
Greer. Just a clarification, the staff report that I have, the one pager, appears to be just a breakdown of how the $212,813 that we just voted is going to be spent. So I don't think it has anything to do with the second motion.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, all right, thank you. I see that now, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think we can move ahead now. Councillor Gumichel.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next item is reference number RCS 210401, dated April 21st, 2021, submitted by myself. And the subject is Outdoor Fitness Park Location, St. Andrews Outdoor Recreation and Trails Incorporated. The background's fairly lengthy. I'll read through it. The town of St. Andrews has been approached by the St. Andrews Outdoor Recreation and Trails Incorporated, SORTI, to install an outdoor fitness park. Council was presented with the concepts and plans at the committee meeting on March 29th, 2021. SORTI identified the following key points for determining a location for the fitness park. 1, accessible on foot and close to the population served. 2, adjacent parking for people with mobility problems. 3, visible for toilets. 5, space for extension, including children's exercise park, picnic tables, Tai Chi spaces, etc. From the presentation, the identified preferred location by SORTI for the park is at Water Street and Prince of Wales along the Van Horn Trail near the parking to Indian Point Park. Please consult the map for location. There's a nice map with a big star on it. Council had concerns regarding the placement of the park in this location for the following reasons. Firstly, the land is in discussions with the Passamaquoddy First Nations process. And secondly, concerns over sight lines and visuals within the park. Oh, sorry. And then thirdly, the council would like to look at alternative locations for the park within the community. And there's 2 motions, and I'll read them both. The first motion is the council formally rejects the option of Indian Point for the outdoor exercise park proposed by the St. Andrews Outdoor Recreation and Trails Incorporated. And the second motion is that council directs staff to work with the St. Andrews Outdoor Recreation and Trails Incorporated to identify alternative locations to Indian Point for the placement of the outdoor fitness park within St. Andrews that would meet the qualifications of the following: accessible on foot and close to population served, adjacent parking for people with mobility problems, visible, located close to washroom facilities, and space for potential expansion of the outdoor fitness park. Your Worship, this item came forward quickly because SORTI was fairly certain of some funding sources and expected to be in a timeline for dispensing of those funds. However, the funding for this project, as it turns out, did not materialize. Therefore, it seems prudent to table this motion at this time. Let the next council deal with it. So I'd like to put forward a motion to table.
Thank you, Councillor Gumichel.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have 2 motions. We'll just do them individually. So I will.
I think if we tabled the first one, the second one would also be tabled, would it not?
Right, I would think so. Okay, I'll go forward then. Yes, you're right. It's included essentially. I will ask the question then, unless there are some comments from council about this.
Your Worship, I think it's only prudent to table it at this time. It will give the public more opportunity to weigh in, and we can research some of the issues behind it. So I think it's a great idea to table it at this point.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Group. Anyone else want?
Never mind. Thank you.
Okay. I'll call the question then. All in favor of tabling these motions relating to the outdoor fitness park, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion is carried. The motion to table is carried. That will be tabled for the incoming council.
Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Gumishal. All right. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you. PED 210401, refund request for amendment Z21-03 to Z21-01, rezoning of 152 Water Street. The background is the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission has notified the town of St. Andrews on April 16, 2021 of the withdrawal of the application for rezoning of 152 Water Street from Karen Leggett. Mrs. Leggett is requesting council to consider refunding her application fee of $1,000. So the motion is that council refund the rezoning application fee of $1,000 for amendment Z21-03 to Z21-01 for 152 Water Street to Mrs. Karen Leggett.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Bishop. Any comments, council, or questions? Councillor Grew?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think that this request to refund the application fee may raise a larger question of should we be charging a $1,000 fee in the event that a person doesn't get their rezoning. It seems like it's a fairly steep fee for something that you know may not happen, and you know I think that's something that the next council maybe might want to look at. But it seems like charging $1,000 for something that didn't happen is a bit expensive.
Thank you, Councillor Grew.
I think this one as well, we very much turned it away at the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
Right.
And whereas we didn't really do objections or anything like that, that may have taken a lot of time of our staff and council. So yeah, I certainly back this one.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. Any other comments? If not, I'll call the question.
Your Worship, if I may just quickly, just to follow up on Councillor Grew, as Councillor Harrison points out, this one was a little bit of a strange one because this didn't go through the process and not get completed. It just was kind of rejected. This council wanted to wait till the next council to work on it. So I fully support it. But the fee is there in order to discourage people from rezoning their properties. It's really a tool that you want the right things put in the right things as per zoning bylaw and municipal plan. And so if people want to go through the process of not using their land properly, if you will, in the proper context or the way that it's set out, then the $1,000 fee is put there to make sure that that it's worth their effort, but also that there's no fishing expeditions, that if it's too cheap, people just throw some money in, seeing if they can get it converted. So for instance, a residential property into to a commercial property, which may have more value than just sitting as a residential. So we can relook at the fee, but I don't think the fee is that unjustifiably high. And actually, maybe just, I think it's probably the flat fee right across the region. Am I correct, Councillor? Or sorry, Mr. Gopin, or is it municipality by municipality?
Yeah, so it's all the municipality. Well, it varies from municipality to municipality. $1,000 is pretty standard. Dieppe, for example, they charge $1,500 for a rezoning, and if you're doing a municipal plan amendment and a rezoning, I think it goes up to $3,000. So I feel like $1,000 is fairly appropriate. On a more general note about fees, we are recommending a new fee schedule, mostly for the terms and conditions application fee, because that's also $1,000 right now, and that's not in line with the region or with what the province does. So we do want to lower that fee. But I think the rezoning fee is pretty standard, and as Mr. Spear said, it's there to make sure people are really serious when they do apply for that. But again, in this case, the application didn't go anywhere, really didn't take much staff time, so the refund does make sense.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gopin. I appreciate that. Council, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is passed. Councillor Harrison, you're up again.
Thank you. PED 210411, bylaw 21-02, a bylaw to establish a planning advisory committee for the town of St. Andrews, third reading. And it has the, in the background note, this is PED 210407. So I don't know if that's cross-reference to that other matter, and but I'll just make note of that because it's in the background or here. So the background goes on. At March 1st, 2021 regular council meeting, council moved forward with first reading to bylaw 21-02, being a bylaw to establish a planning advisory committee for the town of St. Andrews. The following is the timeline of the process so far. We moved to first reading, called a public hearing of objections, and obtained the views of PRAC March 1st, 2021. The public hearing of objections was March 22nd, 2021. And we moved to second reading April 6, 2021. There were no objections to bylaw 21-02 and no objections from PRAC from the March 21 meeting. The motion is that council grant leave for third and final reading of bylaw 21-02, being a bylaw to establish a planning advisory committee for the town of St. Andrews.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Could I have a seconder for that motion?
Second, Councillor Gumshoe.
Yeah, Councillor Gumshoe, thank you. Comments, Council?
Councillor Grew, Your Worship.
Councillor Grew?
Thank you. I'm just going through my package right now, and I don't seem to have the bylaw attached to my package. And
I think we were going to push this forward, weren't we, to the next council, or am I wrong on that?
No, we were going to pass it tonight.
No, Your Worship, my mistake. I don't see why it wasn't attached. It was in my original draft, so I can forward you a copy of it here. Just give me a second.
My question is what is the effective date for the PRAC taking effect, or for a PAC taking effect? Like, what date have we put on that? Because there is sort of a lag time between a transition between the PRAC and the PAC.
And I recall we needed to firm up the new contract with the New Brunswick Southwest Service Commission as well.
Yeah. Mr. Spear, could you comment on that, where we're on the transition time?
No, I'm just looking it up to Your Worship, but I will say that in regarding the contract, that is actually was added to your packages late in the process. So you do have a copy of that right now. It's up to council if they want to deal with it tonight or not, but we had the Service Commission work with us to finalize a copy on Thursday, I think it might have been. And so we get it out to you for your consideration if this council wants to deal with it. The council or the staff was just giving council an opportunity to look at it. My apologies, I got to jump in too because I don't have a copy either, but I'm going to jump into the package here and have a look. I want to say August 31st was the transition date, but I just wanted to confirm online before. Xander may remember off the top of his head or have a copy there.
Remember, August definitely sounds right, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Our apologies to everybody. Who'll just give us a minute here. I'm popping in.
I don't know whether this complicates things or not, Mr. Spear, but you know, I'm pretty old school mayor. I went back a couple of meetings and I produced a copy of the bylaw that I read at second reading, and I don't think it changed between second and third reading. So that's here on my table. If anybody wants me to read it, that'll be so that judgment is available to council, I would assume.
I would
You just have to trust me that
you're probably
100%.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Your Worship. I don't think anything's changed, but I just want to give me a quick, because there's a little bit of discussion at committee meeting. So where you're going to third reading, I don't want to give you bad advice and then be stuck with it.
Anyone who loses in the election has to serve on PAC. That's what they snuck in.
Or anyone that's not running.
And knows that Trump's not to run, Councillor Harrison.
Oh, sorry, I think I got the wrong document here.
Your Worship, I can share my screen. I do have the second motion reading if you're fine with that.
Okay, yeah, I think the question becomes, you know, we have two options. We can put it forward and vote on it. It's there right now. We can call, I can call the vote. We can vote on whether we read it for the third time, or in view of the interrelationship that it somewhat has with the agreement with the Regional Service Commission, we could choose to, you know, to table both of those matters, knowing that it looks like it would be a transition period till probably the end of August in any event. What's Council's pleasure?
I think we should pass it.
Everybody good with that?
I concur with Councillor Grew.
Okay, good. All right, we're at that. We're calling the question. Do you want to trust me to read it accurately, or do you want to wait for Mr. Knopper to put it on the screen for you?
Well, I think Mr. Knopper can put it on the screen in about 1 second here. So why don't you put it on, good. Mr. Knopper?
Yep.
We haven't voted yet.
Well, let's give you the chance to see the bylaw.
Might say we moved to increase staff salary by 500%.
Council, can you see the bylaw?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Nothing has changed.
Where does it show the effective date, Mr. Knopper?
The effective date, my apologies, was not added to this. It would, as per Mr. CAO Spear had mentioned, the effective date will be August 31st. It was discussed, but we will add it, ensure that it's added to the bylaw before it is stamped and signed.
Actually, sorry to get all technical in your last meeting, Council, but since this would have been the one that gone out, there probably should have made amendments to this to add that date to the bylaw before third and final reading. And maybe September 1st is a cleaner date than August 31st, as funny as that may sound.
Your Worship?
Yes.
I would like to add an amendment to the bylaw that's written to indicate it has an effective date of the 1st of September 2021.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Grew. Could I have a seconder for that amendment?
Yeah.
Councillor Akaji, thank you. Any comments about the proposed amendment? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor of the amendment that the effective date of this bylaw be set at September 1st, 2021? Please. Aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none. So that amendment will be included. And now we go back and vote on the bylaw itself, that motion. All in favor of the motion, the original motion as amended, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, I will now read the bylaw for the third time. It's quite short. I'm going to read the whole thing for greater certainty. This is bylaw 21-02. Bylaw 21-02 being a bylaw to establish a planning advisory committee for the town of St. Andrews. The Council of the Town of St. Andrews, under authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, Revised Statutes of New Brunswick 2017 and amendments thereto, hereby makes the following bylaw. Title 1, this bylaw may be cited as the Town of St. Andrews Planning Advisory Committee bylaw. Advisory Committee established. 2, in accordance with Section 3 of the Community Planning Act 2017, Chapter C-19 and amendments thereto. A planning advisory committee of not less than 5 members and not more than 15 members is hereby established. B, members of the advisory committee shall be appointed and / or removed by resolution of council. C, to be a member of the advisory committee, a person shall be 1, an eligible voter residing in the town of St. Andrews, or 2, a member of the council, agent or employee of the municipality, but 3, the majority of the advisory committee shall be other than such members, agents, or employees as identified in subsection 2. D, subject to subsection F, the term of office of members of the advisory committee is 3 years, but they are eligible for reappointment. E, the chairman and vice chairman of the advisory committee shall be elected from amongst its membership, and the term of office is 1 year, but they are eligible for re-election. F, council shall designate appointments to the advisory committee so that, as nearly as possible, the terms of office of 1/3 of its members expire on the first day of January in each year. Duties and powers. 3, the duties and powers of the advisory committee are set out in section 4 of the Community Planning Act 2017, Chapter C-19 and amendments thereto. And this bylaw shall come into effect on September the 1st, 2021. Read for the 3rd time on the 3rd of May, 2021. Thank you, Council. Right. Good offer. I'm going to turn over this next item to you.
Your worship, there's one more for Councillor Harrison.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Harrison.
Yep, PED 210406, refund request for Z21-02 to zoning bylaw Z21-01 for 108 Sophia Street. At the Committee of Council meeting on April 26, 2021, Councillor Grew requested that Council refund the $1,000 for the application for rezoning of 108 Sophia Street for Dr. Tammy Matheson and Dr. Krista McAllister. Councillor Grew noted that this property should have been rezoned during the zoning bylaw review, but was not. Because of the perceived oversight, Council should consider refunding the application fee of $1,000. So the motion would be that Council refund the rezoning application fee of $1,000 for Amendment Z21-02 to zoning bylaw Z21-01 for 108 Sophia Street to Dr. Tammy Matheson and Dr. Krista McAllister.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Akaji, thank you. Questions, Council? Comments? If none, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is passed. Thank you, Councillor Harrison. And I will now go to Mr. Nopper, who is going to give us a little bit of a background on the St. Andrews and area housing survey, the results of which are pretty much hot off the press this week. Mr. Nopper, could you fill us in a little bit on this, please?
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. So presented to you is a staff report and the findings from the St. Andrews and Area Housing Survey that was conducted as part of the Age-Friendly Community Group's projects for this year. Now they wanted to spend some of their funds to help identify housing needs throughout St. Andrews and the peninsula. So this went out to 1,642 properties within the peninsula limits. And what we received back were a lot of stellar responses. If I'm not mistaken, we had about 141 responses to 25 different questions. And this was released March 15th. 2021 to April 15th, 2021. So a little over a month, and we got a fantastic response rate. I'm just going to, there's a lot of detail to the questions, as you can see with some of the survey results. We've tried to summarize them for you, but I think I'm just going to take you right to the key conclusions that we found from this. So I'm just going to go right through them. So the primary responses to the survey were those who were from or near retirement. 44% of the population or more consists of persons 55 plus, and they made up 70% of the respondents. Most people want to live in St. Andrews or close to it. Question 1 gave them a selection of everywhere from St. George to St. Stephen and everywhere in between, so public can understand. They are looking for long-term rental as desirable. They're looking at housing with an average of 2 people per household, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, or 1.5 bathroom. They would like in-house laundry, and storage was definitely an important factor that was brought forward. People prefer to have a garage or more than one space and with a back deck. So they would like a little bit of landscaping, gardening, and to be able to park more than a couple of vehicles. Almost half the respondents are were designated from the questions in an affordable housing issue or in an affordable housing crisis. So half your respondents are having struggles. And to understand that, the Canada Housing and Mortgage Association's information on this says if you're spending more than 30% of your housing or your salary on housing, you're in an issue. If you're spending 40% or more, you're in a crisis type situation. And we'll continue with this. Some people feel that accessibility and accessible features are needed to be built into their housing. People seem to want to move now. So when the questions indicated if they were looking to sell now within, the year or a couple of years, people are looking to sell now or looking to downsize within a relative quick time. Critical was being within walking distance to amenities is important, but not for everyone. So it was kind of nice to see that people are still willing to live a little bit further out of the downtown plat or within that concept, so travel can happen at a greater distance. Most people feel that the housing prices should remain under $300,000, with almost 50% wanting around $200,000 to $250,000 if they were to sell. And about half the respondents are pet owners, and they would like some form of a pet-friendly rental. And that rounded up all the basic questions. But Council, if you want to dive into more detail, the survey summary is there, as well as the actual full detail of the responses. So I'll put it back to Council if you have any questions.
Council?
I think the only thing I saw with this that'd be interesting, it's hard to really get the data on, I guess, is obviously the people that wouldn't be in a survey of St. Andrews residents. Because here we definitely need housing for the students / seasonal workers who wouldn't be here right now because it's not their season. And they may be next year's students or the year after that. And I think that really hits along with some other people, the affordable housing sector for those kind of categories. But also I think, and we had that nice presentation from the head of the Huntsman, and if we ever have an expansion of the Huntsman or the biological station, also we have to think of, again, this is a group that's not here yet, and it hopefully would not be, would be more of the young families, young professionals with families. So again, I don't think we can lose sight of those two groups, even though we obviously have needs for the people that are here and may want to downsize from a house to a garden home or what have you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Anybody else want to comment? Councillor Groot?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I guess just to put a punctuation mark on this study is I had an appraisal done on Friday, and I had the appraiser call me back, and they were looking for comparable rents in St. Andrews, and the appraiser could not find one apartment in St. Andrews that was available, not one. And they researched every website, they researched Kijiji, they researched extensive research, and the only way we could find comparables was to go knock on people's door and say, how much are you paying for rent? So it's dire right now, and affordable housing is at a premium. It is just not available within the town.
Thank you, Councillor Groot. Anyone else want to comment?
Yeah, Your Worship.
Yes.
A question for Mr. Knopper is, do we have a raw data set where we could filter in to see more specifics? So say we looked at, if people want a garden home, this is what they need for parking, bad example, but do we have the raw data where we can drill down further?
Through you, your worship, SurveyMonkey does give us the ability to draw down to an exact question or aspect you're looking for. So it's just a matter of what we need to drill down, I can drill down for.
Perfect. This, your worship, this document isn't perfect, obviously, when you look at New Brunswick Community College students, but for specific types of housing, for example, seniors, there is a lot of good information that we can get out of this, and it's a level of consultation and need that we didn't have yesterday. So I want to acknowledge the age-friendly community for leading this project for sure. And I guess with that is, yeah, this is a good foundational document for the next council. My last question though is it possible to have copies of this report available at Town Hall? Should anyone that is interested in Town Council be able to pick this up to be informed for themselves, as housing has been identified by a number of people as a major priority for this town?
Mr. Knopper, I think that was kind of the plan, wasn't it?
Your worship, that's correct. And if council is fine with it, we can also add it to the website if you're.
Yeah.
The website would be perfect.
Yeah. And this is just hot off the press. Mr. Knopper has just been working on this in the last week to finalize this. So it's new. Just a comment I would like to make based on what Councillor Harrison said is that this is just one of many things we need to develop to find out what the whole range of needs are in our community, because the first thing we need to know is what we need before we can start developing a housing strategy. We need to know what the gaps are and what we need, but this is a good piece of work. I think there's some other pieces of work that still have to be done, and that's as we go forward. So,
well, the development scheme bylaw sounds like the perfect tool, Your Worship.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go.
Can I speak?
Certainly, Councillor Bishop.
I think that when Councillor Grew mentioned that there's no apartments available in this town, that certainly puts a red light on, hey, we've got a problem here, because you must surely have a few empty apartments sitting around in a town or a village or whatever. So we've got a big problem in that sense, but also the other part of the puzzle is the student housing, and this is more related to seniors, but affordable housing for families, and so you've got a whole gamut of other areas that are just need a light shone on them, so that maybe developers might be interested in working on some of these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bishop. Councillor Grew.
Thank you. I think just to do a bit of a reality check right now is that if we had a developer come in town and say, I'd like to do a affordable housing project or whatever, it would probably take them a year to a year and a half to actually build it, and get it developed. Secondly, when a 2x4 is costing $9 and a 2x6 is costing $15, affordable housing is probably gone up by 20 or 30% in terms of the rent that they're going to charge. So it may not be that affordable for a lot of people. So I think we're sort of having to develop a strategy, but we have to look at it from a realistic point of view as well, that the solutions are not going to be easy at this point, and we're going to have to get a little bit creative as we move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Grew. Anybody else want to comment?
Your Worship, if I may too.
Yes, certainly.
I just would like to echo Councillor Grew's comments that if you look at the survey, a lot of people are saying half of the people wanted housing under $200,000 and rents under $850. That's just not happening anywhere in New Brunswick right now. The cost of a per unit, I'm hearing, is between $70,000 to $100,000 for a one-bedroom unit now to build an apartment. it is going to be a hard thing to figure out, and hopefully our partners in the federal and provincial governments and CMHC will come to the table to make this easier. And there's certain things we can do, but for many of the people that have limited income, it's going to be extremely tough. Over the weekend, I was looking at housing in St. Andrews just to get an idea, and a housing that went between $200,000 and $250,000 last year. So single bungalows are now $350,000 to $400,000. So housing, new construction is an all-time high. Buying an already constructed piece of property is at an all-time high. So it's a big challenge for everybody. And I'm looking forward to working with the next council and some of you to see how we can help manage that within our community.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. That's I think your words are right on. It's changed so quickly that I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise, including the people who filled out the survey, who may not have been as much in touch with what prices have done in the last few months as what the members of council have been kept apprised of. So there's going to be a re-education process, I guess, that has to go along with this, as well as a realism about what it's going to cost to build housing. All right. Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Nopper. I know you put a great deal of work into trying to collate this for the committee, and working with the committee. So thank you for the efforts on our behalf. Okay, I'm going to move to question period, Mr. Nopper. Anybody there wanting to talk to us?
Your Worship, I haven't received any emails or any correspondence to speak to council. I would suggest, as this is your last meeting, as you go through any of your comments, that I'll keep it open until the very end. If there's any questions or comments from the public, now's the time. If you want to send them, send them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nopper. Councillors and Deputy Mayor's comments. Council, Deputy Mayor, anybody have anything that they wish to say? Deputy Mayor.
Your Worship. Yeah, it's possible that I guess this is it is our last regular meeting. So I think that it was important just to recognize some people that are on this call and that are not on this call. The first one that jumps out at me is Mr. Spear. So as a new councillor coming in 5 years ago, Mr. Spear jumped in as acting CAO to have a seamless transition for us. So he's not only done that role once, he's done it twice over the last 5 years, and now he is our CAO. So all the leadership and dedication to the town, Mr. Spear, I just want to say, this is my last meeting. I just appreciate everything that you've done for me. Mr. Nopper, adding you to the team only made it stronger. We're very fortunate to make that decision as a council to add in a clerk, and we can already see the productivity has gone through the roof. The amount of things that we're able to accomplish with the team. It's a lot more fair for Mr. Spear to have the support as well, but your efforts have been noticed. The entire town staff, I don't know how many times we all get credit for the great work that they do. I'll give an example. If you look at Christmas time, everyone keeps saying how great the town is. That's the hard work of Public Works. And that's just one example of many great things that our staff has accomplished that we've been blessed with. We have had very little interaction of anything other than positivity with our staff. So it speaks volumes. And I know that Mr. Gopin's here. The decision that we made to actually put those services out to the Regional Service Commission, that has provided a whole panel of experts to the town of St. Andrews. And I'm so thankful of all the work that you've done, in particular, the municipal plan, which you were the leader in. And also please pass my comments on to Alex Henderson, because he's dedicated a lot of time to this council as well. And then there's people that aren't here. Angela McLean was our CAO. Her contributions that she did over the last 5 years, during her period, she was part of the last 5 years' success. Dan Boyd, who was a councillor in the town of St. Andrews, we all love Dan. He is running for council in Grand Manan, but his contributions, all of you, I think it's pretty rare. Obviously, the fact that we had a 5-year term, this might be the first time it's ever done, but everyone's dedication to stay on board. I know that all of us are involved in an active election, so I won't single out people, but I do want to acknowledge one Councillor Harrison. It is for sure his last meeting, and he did make it clear before we thought we had an election last year that he was done. And the fact that he stayed on with all of us and his level of dedication, Councillor Harrison, It means a lot to the town of St. Andrews. I will say, Mr. Harrison, that we are going to be looking soon for members of the PAC. But just in summary, thank you to everybody. It's been a lot of people when you say you're running for council, actually say you're crazy. But for me, this has been nothing but a positive experience, and that has a lot to do with everybody that's on this call. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else want to comment? Councillors?
If I could give a quick comment, being hopefully my last meeting, if you know, knock on wood, but who knows what could happen the day and age of COVID though. But I basically to echo what the Deputy Mayor said, I really like to thank Paul and the other staff, both past and present, and at Town Hall for all the work they've done. Both, you know, we see them on camera during our meetings, but obviously this is the iceberg, and there's a ton of work they do every day, day in, day out, that keeps this town running pretty smoothly. And also to say a thank you over to New Brunswick Southwest Service Commission and their staff, because that really has helped us since we basically farmed out the planning and permitting to them. It certainly made us a more efficient operation, I think. I'd like to thank the mayor and fellow councillors. I could definitely say it was more enjoyable back when we could meet in person, obviously, but I think that even with the pandemic, we were able to keep everything pretty civil in our debates, and we accomplished quite a bit in terms of our objectives. Because I remember, and I have it somewhere, when we actually laid out our top 5 priorities 5 years ago. And I think if we went through them, we actually we ticked off quite a few boxes. So that was definitely an accomplishment. And if there's one thing I think you should keep, that the good thing that came out of COVID is that people now have a chance on a much easier basis to watch our meetings, to see what's going on, to keep informed. It was one thing to show them on CHCO kind of once a month or whatever, but now that they can see all of the meetings, it's probably quite helpful, and it really keeps people engaged with the process. Which, although that can be annoying at times, but it also really gives us the input we need, or you will need, or whoever that's on council going forward. And yeah, other than that, good luck to all the people running and all the people not here running. It should be interesting with 15 candidates for a council and 2 for mayor. So have fun over the next 4 years.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Anybody else?
I'd like to thank everyone for their cooperation and their hard work over this past 4 years, plus an extra year. And also just put a plug in for the Zoom meetings, because in the cold winter nights when it was dark and snowy, I didn't have to go out to a meeting. So thank you for that.
Thanks,
good luck
Councillor.
in the election.
Councillor Grew.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to say that Council has accomplished quite a lot over its 5-year mandate. And it's not just in terms of volume, it's in terms of the quality and the complexity of some of the files that Council has tackled. We've done things like municipal plans, zoning bylaws. Some of these are hundreds of pages long, and they're complex. And our staff at the Southwest Service Commission have been there with us the whole way. I think Xander is, oh God, he spent countless hours and many nights, developing these things. And I think we have some fairly high quality documents that have been well thought out. Throughout the 5 years, I have found that Council has remained focused on the issues. And although we may not have agreed on every issue, there's been a very high level of professionalism amongst councillors. We haven't made it personal, and we stick to the issues, which has been very good. A very special thank you to our staff. Without our staff, we are nothing. And what a lot of people don't see is the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes that is not visible to the public. And all of our staff are working hard. They're on the front lines day in, day out, and they provide so much to this community. I do leave with one regret though, and that one regret is that as a council, we were not able to attack or address the issue of affordable housing. And I know we're all concerned about affordable housing, but we have to remember it's more than a catchy campaign slogan, and that there are for many in our community, affordable housing is a real concern that impacts their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
And that's my regret, is we haven't been able to address that in our 5-year term. And I leave with that one regret. On a positive note, there's a very high voter turnout. Last I heard, there was over 400 people that had voted in the advanced polls. And democracy in St. Andrews is alive and well. And we have a wide selection of candidates to choose from. So on May the 10th, get out and vote. Exercise your democratic right. It is a privilege that we often take for granted. And finally, for myself personally, for me, it's been a privilege to serve as a counselor for the public and to be that voice to represent people. I think has been a really positive thing for myself personally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Group.
Connor, can I speak?
Yes, certainly.
I just want to reiterate what everybody has said. I mean, from the deputy mayor down, it's hard when you get in the middle and everybody said what you want to say. But I do appreciate the staff. I do appreciate our staff at the town, making our town look so beautiful. It's wonderful. And we get all the comments, but those public works guys are great. Our staff at the town office are great. Paul is great technology, and with Mr. Spear, everything works and runs smoothly, sort of. There may be a few glitches, and yes, we don't always agree, but in the end, we work together as a team, which is kind of nice. But on a personal note, I'd like to say thank you, because we've had several tragedies and traumatic things that have happened over the last little while, and one of them was my niece. So on behalf of my family, and especially my brother, his wife Teresa, and their children Jillian, Karen, and Alyssa, that they thank you for all the support that the town gives. That's one thing about this community, is that when a person in our community is hurting or something tragic has happened to them, like Wilma Montgomery, the town pulls together in a unity that you can't see in most places, especially in the big cities. So we're very privileged to live in a town, but we need to keep forever in our minds that we need to continue to be safe through this COVID season. It's not over yet. I'm not sure when it's going to end, especially when it's getting closer and closer to home, like Bayside. But I ask that you maintain your distancing, that you are looking after yourselves, because you're the one that's in the forefront. You know where you are. You know that you need to be safe, and we want our community to be just as safe. And I think we are a very safe community with the people that are in it, the caring and wonderful people that we live with. But we need to be ever vigilant that COVID is still here, and we need to do that. I'd like to thank the mayor and all my other councillors for having worked with them, because it's been great, whether I get on or not on next time. It's been wonderful to have worked with you this term. So even if it was for the extra years, I wasn't there for the whole time, but the last 3 years anyway, it's been long, enduring hours. But I think, as Councillor Grew has said, that we have accomplished quite a bit in our mandate, and we've worked together on times, sometimes not so good, but we do in the end come together as a team. So thank you very much, and thanks for the party on Friday. The barbecue, guys, was fantastic. You did an awesome job, and it was well appreciated by the whole staff. It was nice to be able to get together and relax and not have to worry about being on formality all the time. Thank you very much, and Have a great night.
Thank you, Councillor Akaji.
Your worship, Councillor Gumshall here.
Yes, Councillor Gumshall.
Prepared a few notes, so if you don't mind, I'll just read through them.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I guess if this were a hockey game, we are deep into overtime with this council. I just wanted to say to the mayor and all the other councillors, I want to say thank you for their lessons in leadership and for making me feel included, for making me feel included and valued as a member of this council. To the staff, I want to say my heartfelt thanks for their leadership and all of their hard work. Also, I'd like to thank staff for not throwing anyone on this council in the penalty box when we misbehave. CAO Spear and Clerk Knopper make a pretty good dynamic duo, and I'm confident they will do their utmost to guide the town and the next council to a number of Stanley Cups, maybe even a dynasty. And our town will continue to be a success story, unlike the Bruins. And it's not just senior staff.
Point of order, Your Worship.
Overruled. Overruled.
Lock that in there. And it's not just the senior staff who are working extremely hard serving the town of St. Andrews. It's all the staff who work hard to make this an amazing place to live and to raise a family. Growing up here, I always knew that working for the town was a hard job, but serving on council has given me a new appreciation for the diligence, patience, and professionalism of all of the staff of St. Andrews. Again, thanks very much, and the best of luck to you all in the upcoming election. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Gumshall. Well, that's a pretty hard act to follow. I guess I'm the one left last, and I probably could say a lot of things, but I'll only say a couple of brief things because much of it has been said. Number one, I do like your sports analogy, Councillor Gumshall, because I had one of my own, and this is it. I often thought as mayor, as we've gone through this 5 years, that we were punching above our weight, which is a boxing term that says, you may be a small place, but we're doing things and accomplishing things here that many big cities have trouble accomplishing. And in fact, we have some bylaws that we're working on still that other bigger places are waiting for us to do something so they can copy us. Now, I think that, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I believe that that's true. And I think we should be very proud of the quality of the work that we've produced here. And one of the reasons we did that was because, and one of the things I'm proudest of, is that in the midst of COVID-19 and in the midst of being, summarily told we were going to have to serve for another year, not only did no one step aside, in fact, attendance got better, and I think Mr. Knopper can verify that we hardly had a meeting when not everyone was there, and the only reason people didn't come to meetings was because of illness or personal matters that intervened. And so I'm very proud of that, and that was not the case in a lot of other places. So we have had an outstanding council. And despite the fact that going forward, there are lots of challenges that if some of us are still involved or the next council will have to tackle, I think that we've laid the foundation here of a pretty well-oiled town machine, including staff and council. And I'm quite proud of everything that we've accomplished. So thank you very much to each and every one of you and to all of our staff for the support that we've received over the last 5 years. And Councillor Akaji, I'm looking for a motion
before
to
you
adjourn.
To go to closed session.
Sorry, Your Worship. No, not a closed session. I had really 2 quick questions for council, though.
Okay, great.
I have talked to you about this, Worship, just so we're aware.
Okay.
There's 2 questions before us, council. I sent you an email about a proposed hatchery that's going in the industrial park. And I put in an email that the Department of Environment was authorizing some test wells, and they're waiting for a response from the town on that. and the proponent is willing to meet with this council to just talk about the process. But the other thing too is Councillor Grood brought up whether this council want to meet about the green paper to prepare a formal response on behalf of council. So I just want to know if this council wants to meet. I'm proposing the 17th to look at both of those issues, or earlier. I guess technically could meet on the 13th. I'm assuming you don't want to meet election day. The 12th, I guess, that Wednesday. So I just want to get direction from council on what you'd like to do with that, if either.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Council?
I think these are important issues, and we should meet on it if we can fit it in.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Gumshoe. Council, everybody, do we have a consensus on that? I mean, I know it's what yes. The heck, 5 years and one more meeting. What the heck, eh? We probably should do it. Both of those issues are important, and I think we should have at it. So what's the preferred date for everyone to, Mr. Spear has proposed a couple of dates.
Monday night is better for me. The 17th.
Yeah.
Sooner the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
17th.
Right.
Let's do it. I think having a concerted town position on that green paper is absolutely vital. When we went to the UMNB meeting, the president encouraged every community to meet and to discuss this thing and to submit the comments to the minister. So I think that that's very important that we do it and we show some leadership. And then the next council coming in, they may have a different opinion, but at least they'll have a point for, you know, to take off from. I think it's important. We've got the background with this council. We know the issues, we know the town, and we can formulate a pretty good paper, I think, or position paper on that matter.
Okay.
Through your worship, I'll save the debate for the actual meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to choose the 17th, are we?
That seems sensible to me. Is everyone okay with the 17th?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We'll keep it to those two items. Thank you, Council.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Okay, Councillor Akaji.
I so move. We for the evening.
It's not the end of a meeting if it's not Councillor Akaji moving.
Mr. Spear just didn't want me to do that. He wants me to do it again and again. And again.
Thank you, Council, for everything.
Good night, everyone, and good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Night all.
Good night.
Been great working with you folks.
Oh, nice.
Good working with you, Andrew.
Not over yet, Andrew.
Not over.